Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, lived a king with 3 beautiful daughters. The youngest princess was the kindest and most beloved of them all. One day, as the king was returning from a long journey, he spotted a breathtaking wreath of wildflowers by the side of the road. He knew instantly it would be the perfect gift for his youngest daughter and stopped to pick it up. But as his fingers brushed the petals, a great white wolf appeared from the shadows. The wolf's eyes gleamed with ancient magic, and its voice was a low growl that rumbled through the forest. He told the king the wreath belonged to him, and the price for taking it was a solemn promise. The king must give him the first living thing that greeted him upon his return to the castle. Thinking his favorite hunting dog would be the first to run to him, the king hastily agreed. He took the beautiful wreath and hurried home, his heart light with the thought of his daughter's happy face. But as the castle gates swung open, it was not his dog that bounded out to meet him. Instead, his youngest daughter, overjoyed at his return, ran into his arms. The king's heart turned to stone. He had unknowingly promised his own beloved child to the mysterious white wolf. The princess, seeing her father's despair and learning of his terrible promise, showed no fear. With a brave heart, she declared she would honor her father's word. So, with a tearful farewell, she set off into the deep, dark woods, following the path that would lead her to the white wolf's domain. The journey was long, but the princess eventually arrived at an enchanted castle, shimmering under the moonlight. It was a place of silent, spellbound beauty. The gates opened on their own, and she stepped inside, her heart pounding. To her surprise, she wasn't met with growls or threats. Instead, she was treated with the utmost kindness. Every night, a magnificent feast appeared on the great dining table, and she was given the most beautiful rooms to call her own. The white wolf was her constant companion. He was gentle and spoke with a sad, soft voice, and the princess soon found herself looking forward to their time together. She sensed a deep sorrow within him, a loneliness that mirrored her own. One evening, as they sat by the fire, the princess gathered her courage and asked the wolf about his past. He then revealed his secret. He was not a wolf at all, but a handsome prince, trapped by a powerful curse. A wicked sorceress had transformed him, and his castle was frozen in an enchanted slumber. The only time he could return to his human form was for a few fleeting hours each night, alone in his chambers. The princess's heart ached for him. As the days turned into weeks, her compassion grew into a deep and profound love. The prince, in turn, fell completely in love with the brave and kind-hearted princess who saw the man beneath the beast. They knew they were destined to be together, but the curse stood between them like an unbreakable wall. Determined to save the man she loved, the princess decided she had to find a way to break the spell. One day, while wandering the castle gardens, she met a mysterious old woman who seemed to appear out of nowhere. The woman's eyes held a knowing glint. She told the princess that the curse could indeed be broken, but the path was fraught with peril. The princess would have to journey to a distant, treacherous glass mountain. At its very peak stood another castle, where the sorceress who had cursed the prince was preparing to force him into a marriage with her own daughter, which would make the spell permanent. The princess didn't hesitate. Her love for the prince gave her a strength she never knew she possessed. The old woman, seeing the determination in her eyes, decided to help. She gave the princess 3 magical items: a pair of iron shoes that would never wear out, a cloak of invisibility, and a tiny, unassuming pill that she was told to use only at the very last moment. With these gifts and a map drawn in the dirt, the princess began her impossible quest. The journey to the glass mountain was more challenging than she could have ever imagined. She walked for days and nights, the iron shoes protecting her feet from the jagged rocks and thorny paths. She crossed raging rivers and navigated through dark, confusing forests filled with strange whispers. She used the cloak of invisibility to slip past fearsome beasts and guardians that protected the path to the mountain. Finally, she stood at its base, gazing up at the sheer, glittering cliffs of glass that seemed to reach the heavens. The surface was impossibly smooth and slippery. For every step she took, she slid back too. Doubt began to creep into her heart. But then she remembered the prince's sad eyes and the love they shared, and her resolve hardened. She noticed tiny cracks and footholds, invisible to a casual glance, and began her painstaking ascent. It took her 3 long days and 3 sleepless nights, her fingers raw and bleeding, but she finally pulled herself over the top. There it was, just as the old woman had described, a dark, foreboding castle perched on the summit. Music and laughter drifted from its windows, a chilling sound in the desolate landscape. The wedding was already underway. Using her cloak of invisibility, the princess slipped through the castle gates and into the grand hall. The room was filled with strange, shadowy guests. On a throne sat the wicked sorceress, a triumphant sneer on her face. And beside her daughter, looking pale and distant, stood her prince. His eyes were empty, all memory of her seemingly erased by the sorceress's dark magic. He didn't even see her. The princess's heart broke, but she knew she couldn't give up now. She waited for the perfect moment. As a servant carried a golden goblet of wine to the prince, she darted forward. Hidden by her cloak, she dropped the tiny pill the old woman had given her into the cup. The prince took the goblet and drank. The moment the wine touched his lips, his eyes widened. The fog of enchantment lifted, and a flood of memories came rushing back. The wildflower wreath, their conversations by the fire, their shared laughter and secret love. He saw the princess standing there as if for the first time, and he cried out her name. The entire hall fell silent. The sorcerer shrieked in rage, but it was too late. With the prince's memory restored and their true love acknowledged, the curse shattered. The sorceress and her dark magic vanished into nothingness. The shadowy guests faded away, and the gloomy castle on the glass mountain dissolved like mist in the morning sun. The prince, now free and fully human, ran to the princess and swept her into his arms. The spell was finally broken. They returned not to his enchanted castle, but to her own kingdom. The old king wept with joy to see his daughter safe and sound, and he welcomed the prince as a son. The prince and princess were married in a grand celebration, and they ruled their united kingdoms with kindness and wisdom, living happily ever after. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tailies from our library.